Good afternoon and welcome back to At Home with Elisa. I hope that you're having a lovely day so far. Today I really wanted to do another garden tour. I thought about it and I thought, I don't know that really much has happened in the garden in the last month, but then when I looked back at my June garden tour, I realised that quite a bit had happened, quite a bit has changed. So I really wanted to give you an update and show you what's going on. So as you may recall, my garden is still only halfway constructed. That half being the half that is still currently under construction. And there's a little sneak peek at the greenhouse. So excited to get that up and running. But it is still halfway under construction, but that's fine. Little bit by little bit, we're making more progress. We've only been here for, I think, a year. And we've had a lot going on. So as you enter into the garden, I have just moved my succulents just here. That big spiky one there is an aloe vera, which is fantastic for sunburn. The rest of them just a beautiful assortment of cactuses and succulents, but the aloe vera one is one that we use constantly. And I'll just show you the ladies. But you can see here, my flowering plum is just starting to get, can't see if that'll focus. See, it's just starting to get all its buds on it, which I love. This is beautiful burgundy, and I can't wait till it's really big and just shades this little seat that we've got here, our chicken watching seat, and it will just be beautiful. And then there's our lavender, and the only other really things that we have in here apart from fruit trees is just our gardenias at the front of the coop there. So the coop area still needs to have a lot of work done to it. We'll get there. But back to the garden. So my seaside daisy, which is the one just here on the corner, that has some beautiful flowers. They've actually just started. They do come out in pink and in white. You can see they're just starting. Now this is on borrowed time here because I do want to use this in our landscaping on our embankment around our catchment, so that won't be staying too long. At the back there I have a beautiful pink ostromerium. I have a few of those just in this garden bed. My pineapple is still there, even though I will be moving it. I have some lupins. These are ones that I started from seed last year, and I can't wait for them to get lovely and big. So I've just started another 5 or 6 seeds because I'd really love this garden bed in particular to be full of lupins and yarrow. Here's another ostromerium, same variety, I just divided it. I'm not sure what that little plant is. It was something that I purchased and it's only just coming back. I thought I lost it in the floods, but it's coming back. And another lupin. This one here is my water indicator. So when it lays down, not like that, but it actually looks like it's all shriveled up and dying, I know that I've got to water this garden. It's quite fussy, that one, a bit temperamental. And here is one of my yarrow plants. I do have another one that I would like to transplant into this garden. I just haven't got there. And I have the sweet pea Valerie Harrod planted to grow across this arbor. So it's planted on both sides of the entry into the chicken coop. And this garden bed here is the one I've been recently giving a little bit of a makeover. During the floods we had a lot of water damage to this one, and I swore that I was only going to put seeds in it. I dug up all my dahlias that were in there, and now I've put perennials in there, so I might be a bit of a glutton for punishment here. But I managed to get a hold of some chocolate cosmos plants. They're not in flower as yet, but I'll see if I can find a photo. These are gorgeous, and I had one years ago. I've got two. I've got another one on the other side just here. I had these years ago and they are absolutely lovely, and I didn't save the seeds, which is really dumb of me. So that one is just a bit dried up, but I'll see if I can find a photo. And then just a chili plant that I still don't have a greenhouse to overwinter it. I have some peas, but you'll notice that burst of colour explosion just around it. Last week my mum and I went to some nurseries and I come home with these. They're Dianthus Jolt, and I think that they're gorgeous. If you have a look, you can see the differences in colour. So you have like the pale pink, but then you have like a deeper one, and all of them are the same. So look at that one there, you can see Doesn't translate quite the same on camera, but they're beautiful. So they're beautiful for cut flowers. They love full sun, and I think that with these little, I've got peas growing here. The peas actually already, you can see that wayward one, it's trying to collapse onto everything, but they'll grow up this little arbor here, or the TP, and I think that will look absolutely stunning. This bed is actually going to be a cut flower garden bed, so I have a lot of seeds that I've already started, and come spring I should be able to start planting them out. And back over, try not to move too fast. Over to our middle garden bed. So in here I just have some carrots. I do actually have some seeds for, this side's got rocket in it, so I did have some rocket seeds in there, but I think I've got something eating them. Every time I sort of think they're coming up, nothing comes up. Around the very edges of this garden bed I have strawberry plants, and they are a variety called Charlotte, and look how cute they are, just gorgeous. So I'm hoping to increase our strawberries. Obviously kids love strawberries, and so do adults. And I'm increasing our strawberries, so every time they shoot off a new one I just wait for it to take root, cut it off, and then put it where I want it. We also have some garlic in this bed, which is really coming along nicely. This is just the standard white garlic. That's the only one that I was actually able to source this year. I do have plans for just, you can see sort of bare spots just here and here, here and here. I have some poppies that I've got that have just sprouted, so I'm hoping to transplant those into the garden once they're a little bit bigger. And the only other thing that I have in this garden bed is it's sometimes called butterfly bush, and it's sometimes called gaura. I know it by gaura. I did cut this back, and as you can see, because you cut it back in autumn, and as you can see it's just starting to reshoot again, which is really, really nice. So you cut them back quite hard, but they have beautiful pink flowers on them, and they look like they're just little butterflies dancing in the wind. This one has really recovered nicely. So that's our center garden bed. It's exactly the same pattern repeated on the other side. I do have some beautiful nasturtiums. Look at the color of them. I love this variety of nasturtium. Beautiful lemon. So I have those planted on each corner, and on this side just here I have rocket on the other end, but on this side here I just have spinach. So that's our centerpiece. And of course we have our urn in the center, which I absolutely adore. So that's my centerpiece. I centered it directly underneath that arbor because obviously I like a grid pattern, and I will continue the grid pattern down this end of the garden once it's constructed. So back to that garden bed, just as you come in the front gate, that's my gate there, you'll see in the distance there I have some wood and rocks and even a bag of mushroom compost up against that gate. We did see a fox just outside this gate, and obviously our chickens are right here. So we did see a fox not too long ago, so there is some gaps underneath that gate. We do plan on putting a garden bed either side of that gate there, so that's just to temporarily keep foxes out, just a little bit more peace of mind, I think. But back to this garden bed here, I've replicated both sides of this trellis to be the same. So I have a beautiful nasturtium, which, oh my goodness, I was just watching before, oh here comes a bee now. I was just watching before all the bees on these plants. They are absolutely fantastic. Where are you? I can see you in there. Look. Oh, so cute. We've got a really bad virus for bees at the moment. It's not too far from us, and it's only just entered into Australia, and a lot of people with beehives are actually having to not be able to do anything with their beehive because there's a mite that's taking over. So it's a little bit scary. I hope our bees locally here are okay. But in this garden bed, you can see I've got some garlic, which is really coming along now, which is fantastic. That was just planted from bulb, obviously. Some snapdragons, and they're just sort of starting to take off again, which is really good. And around the outside, I've just planted it with potted colour. So I love violas and pansies. I do have plans, so I like to do rows, so you can see, there I am, move out of the picture. But you can see along the edge there, I've just basically got potted colour all along this edge. Then I have sort of like an empty area, which is just going down here. I'm looking to put in some beetroot. The seeds have sprouted. I just need to get them a little bit bigger before I can actually transplant them in. And then this just here, 1, 2, and 3, I lost one in the middle, are just some silver beet. They seem to be taking a really long time to grow, which is unusual because they tend to usually just take off quickly. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And then I have some celery as my very middle row. And then if I move over a little bit further, you can see some garden stakes stuck into the soil. Each of the wooden garden stakes actually marks that I've got a dahlia just planted there, so a dahlia tubers in the ground. And I have actually just sown in, let's see if I can show you. This one. And I actually have just sown in, if you can just see in there, I've got some cornflower planted. So my cornflower seeds are just starting to pop up, which is lovely. So that's just the blue cornflower. And as they get bigger, because they do get a little bit out of control, as they get bigger, I'll be able to use those garden stakes and also this trellis to try and control them and have them standing upright. Along the border here, I've got some beautiful sweet peas. I did all mixed colours along here. I have a passion fruit, which is not too happy being out of season, and a choco, which really shouldn't have been growing at this time of year. When I planted it, it was the right time of year, but we had all that crazy weather, and honestly I thought it was dead, and then for some reason it decided it was going to come on after that, so I just decided to let it do its thing. And over here I have another one of those beautiful nasturtiums on the corner, and some onions planted in there, and spring onions. And this area here is just a nice little seating area. This is where I sit down and take a little rest in between gardening. Every garden should have a little resting spot. And this bed here is pretty much planted out the same way. I've got the sweet peas along the trellis, the cornflower, the dahlias, not as many dahlias, as I said I did lose quite a few of those in the floods. I have my potted colour along the edge, and some celery, and my little silver beet. And look at this, isn't this just gorgeous? I love gerbers. I had a whole heap of gerbers, like I probably had about 10 of them, and I lost them all in the floods. But look at this, if that doesn't say happy, I don't know what does. Oh my goodness, you're so pretty. That needs its own photo. And then apart from that, I also have some little garlics. So I have a few, not all of them popped up. These were just some really small little bulbs that I had left over from planting, and I thought, well, I'll pop them in the ground anyway and see what happens. And then of course I have my pansies on the end, and just another nasturtium that's already got the seed pods happening. So this is one of the garden beds that really did change a lot this month. I did have my bearded iris in here previously. However, I had a little bit of a flooding issue. This garden bed is sort of at the base of a little bit of a hill, so the runoff from the grass was drowning a lot of my plants. I did end up keeping my alpine strawberry, and as you can see it's fruiting, which is just crazy, but it's got some lovely little fruit on it. Around there, just on that dirt base around here. I actually have a whole heap of mixed bulbs that I'm not sure what they are. They were ones that I kept from last year and I didn't label them properly, and now I don't know what they are. So I've just planted them out and we'll see what happens. It'll be like a mixed bag. And then in here right now you're just looking at plain soil. That plain soil actually has probably about 50 or 70 ranunculus corms planted in it, which I'm just waiting to flower. I'm waiting for them to pop up. I haven't seen anything. It's like staring at dirt all the time and I can never see anything. And then just here, these are my little grape hyacinths. So I've never grown grape hyacinth before, and they've actually sprouted up before I've got actual hyacinths just here, and they haven't even come up yet, but the grape hyacinth have. So I can't wait to see those. They'll be so cute. And then I just have a prostrate rosemary, which I really, really love. And look at those flowers, they're gorgeous. And this here is my mandarin tree. It was in our orchard, but it was not coping well. I had it planted on an area that when our catchment overflowed, it actually flooded, and it wasn't doing too well. So I potted it up in this lovely big wine barrel and I've planted it, and I'm really loving having it here actually. I think it's a really good anchor point. I'll just back up. I think it's a really good anchor point for the garden. And that little statue was given to me by a family member, probably about 20 years ago. And she's moved with us and she stays here. It's quite cute. Beautiful views down the back. We actually managed to get the mower out. So it's been 3 weeks since we've had really, really big rain. And we managed to get the mower out, but we couldn't get, I don't know if you can see right in the distance up here, the grass is still long past the other end of the creek. So on the other side of the creek we weren't able to get the mower there. And then this is another garden bed that I did this month. So I put in a trench. I put in 3 trenches all the way along this garden bed. Let's see if I can try and show you. So 2 and then 3 right up the end there. And this will be a beautiful garden full of different colour bearded irises. I have 3 rows of all different types of bearded irises. I have a spot just here I'm reserving for a rose, and a spot here which is reserved for a rose. And apart from that, I have my beautiful freesia, which I got the other day. Look at the colour. So that is one that I have been after for a while. So I'm excited to get that in my collection. Oh, don't trip over. So I have the beautiful freesia, and I have one that I specifically want to plant here called an ebb tide, and then I have an empty spot which I'm sure I'll be able to fill it easily. Apart from that, all my bearded irises were actually transplanted in here. I divided them this month, and I also planted out a lot of my roses. So this one here is one that I purchased a few months ago before the weather sort of set in, and it's called an Olivia Austin by David Austin. So I love that one. Can't wait to see it flower. It's beautiful pale pink, and as you can see, some of the irises, the bearded irises, are just starting to shoot and to recover. That's one that was transplanted. That's one that was really, really rough. I'm still holding out hope. The roots look good. I did dig it up. The roots look good underneath, so fingers crossed. And then we have this one here, which is one of the new ones that I planted, which is kind of like looks like a blue moon. Nivalis, I think it was called. And down here, all of the roses. I honestly thought we had lost a lot of our roses, but as you can see, look at that. Something's been eating it, but it's got signs of life. Yay. And this one here, just walk through my rose garden. It's got lovely yellow weeds on the outside of the fence, but on the inside of the fence it's got a beautiful Don Bradman rose. The smell on these is just divine. So all down here I've got my roses planted about 1 metre to 75 centimetres apart. That's sort of it's a tight fitting, but I want them to be nice and full when they do grow through. This is my last trench that I'm trying to divert water that way. I need to just do that little section there, obviously. So I gave the roses all a lovely feed this month and they've really responded well. And this one here, have a look at this rose. This rose is over 20 years old. And have a look at that. Oh my goodness, look at it in the sun. Look at that, isn't it just beautiful? That's why I can't help but plant more roses. Beautiful colour. I couldn't bear pick it. And then just here I have a pot that I've actually been emptying out because I don't really want that big one there. It had tomatoes in it in the summer season. So I've just been emptying out the potty mix out of that. I have a yarrow here which I'm hoping to transplant into that first garden bed that I showed you with the lupin. I think I need to divide that as well because it's getting a little bit out of control. And then I have my blueberry bush which is just starting to fruit up. Now last year was the first year that we were here and I was so excited. I had so many blueberries and I didn't realize that as soon as they basically turned blue, every bird within like a few kilometers came and ate them and I literally didn't get like even 10. So this year I will be putting a net over this. So I've got it in a plastic pot at the moment. I'm hoping to pot it up again in some more camellia and azalea mix, which is what they really like with the alkaline, and I'd like to pot it up into this nice ceramic pot and then put a net over it. So that's a little project for me to do shortly. And this one here is actually one that come from our old house and I kind of forgot to divide them. And look at these beautiful jonquils. They're stunning. I love jonquils. And these, my husband can't stand the smell. So I never get to pick these ones and have them inside. He went away for a weekend and my daughter and I were out here picking them straight away. But he really doesn't like the smell. But look at that. Little lemon in the middle. So I'm loving those. And they really haven't had much attention at all, and look at them go. So I'll make sure next year I divide them and pot them up a bit better. And then this section here is just a potted area that I have. I have some projects underway and I basically store all of my pot plants just here. We can't use this area because it does, when it rains a lot, it gets a lot of water underneath. So this was my solutions for still making it usable land, was to elevate them. I've just got them elevated on some concrete blocks and the pots are up there and they're nice and safe, and I just water them like I would a normal potted garden. So I have some natives here. I have some beautiful ones. Callistemum white Anzac. And a lot of the natives that we planted into the garden over the last 12 months have not survived because of our weather. So we lost hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of native plants. Thankfully, I was a bit lazy and I hadn't planted everything. So we've managed to still save a few, which is really, really nice. Up here, I have some star jasmine, which I have a garden bed to soon be constructed that I will put those into. And I have my first lot of daffodils are starting to come up. So these ones here. That's very, very exciting. Which ones are these? Oh, mixed daffodils. Mixed daffodils, that says. And then I also have underneath these pansies, I have daffodils as well. Oh, you can see one popping up just there. See one popping up as well. And then this here is actually a tuberose. So I haven't had it flower for a couple of years, but I'm very keen to see it flower. And then here I have some little starts, which are for some landscaping around our property that we're looking at doing. I have a beautiful Geraldton wax. I love Geraldton wax. I thought I had lost it, but it's still green. Didn't like all the weather we had, but I'm not giving up hope just yet. Again, more pots of daffodils at the back, and more pots of daffodils at the front. I have some beautiful big gardenias. These are my favourite gardenias. They're called a Magnifica, which the Magnificas have beautiful big scented white flowers on them. They're one of the biggest gardenias that you can get. So I have these out the front of the chicken coop, and I have another 2 that I have plans for. Back there you can see all those strappy leaves again. That's another tuberose, which hasn't actually sprouted as yet. I have a native plant called a tuckaroo. I have 2 of them, and we have plans for these in our landscaping. So they are here being minded and being kept safe. I have some sweet peas, which are absolutely taking off. Which ones are these? The Norman Wisdom. So they're the Norman Wisdom, which is white. A white sweet pea. And here I have some, looks like King Alfred daffodils planted. Oh, there's the first one come up. Excellent. And I have a, what's this one? A grevillea. Oh, that's the red grevillea. Look at that. So we purchased that over a year ago, and it's been sitting here through all that weather. You can see the little flowers. So another native that we didn't plant that managed to live. Everything that we didn't plant survived. Everything that we did plant that was native died. So, and that's my other Magnifica. Some more sweet peas, and as you can see, a lot more daffodils. And then we have a tray of mixed plants, which is for a landscaping project. So it's a really good use of this area. As I said, we can't actually plant anything here because it does get too wet, but having them all elevated there, I have a place to put anything I'm propagating or anything that, you know, a project I'm working on and haven't started yet. They can stay there until we're ready to start it. It's a really good use of the area. And just to the side of that is another garden bed that I haven't started as yet. I have put probably about, honestly, I've put about 4 layers of cardboard underneath there. And I just had some wood chip mulch that came out of the rose garden beds, and I had some soil and also had some coffee grounds that we picked up. As you can see, I've also got some sawdust, which I plan on putting in there. Those garbage bags, looks like I've got my rubbish here, they're actually just newspapers. They're bags and bags of newspapers, which I really don't want to set in the rain, so I'm trying to protect them until we use them. But this garden bed here is the next one to be constructed. That's why I started doing a little bit of work on it. I am going to be planting along the very back. As you can see, there'll be a little, we had to end up raising it up just because of the water and the flooding. So I'm going to be planting star jasmine along the back, and also maybe some extra sweet peas, because I may have slightly committed and oversown a lot of sweet peas. And that's all of my wood that's sort of ready to get going for this garden bed. So the only thing that's holding us up on the garden bed is that I have my husband already helping me out in another area, which is this messy area here. So this area here is obviously currently under construction. That is my little greenhouse, and it's actually located currently in the orchard. So we will be opening up the fence line. Sorry, there's just a truck next door if you can hear that. But we will be opening up the fence line that's just here, taking that table obviously, and moving the fence line to include that greenhouse. And you can see that lattice, the black lattice at the back there. My husband came up with a really smart idea, which I hadn't even thought of. We're basically going to enclose, so the greenhouse will become part of this this garden area, and so will this area just here. So we're going to actually put a fence along the back so that the chickens can't get in to the greenhouse and they can't get into this little working area here. And basically that's going to be a utility area. So I'll move my IBC, I'll move my compost, I have 3 compost bins, I'll move my worm farm, all my garden equipment, my tools that I use. Everything will basically be hidden back in this little area. It only looks small, but it's probably about 20 square meters back there, so it's quite a decent size, and I should be able to hide all this ugly that you're looking at right now. That should be able to be hidden back there So that's a very exciting project that we've been working on, and honestly I have lovely plans for this and I can't wait to see it come together. And then further down the track, after we have finished the greenhouse and that back garden bed I was showing you, I have 3 garden beds that I would like to go here. So you can see the 2 at the front. I'd like to mirror that but have 3 slightly skinnier garden beds back here. They'll be about 3 meters by 1 meter, and I should be able to put all of them in, and then once that's done I can actually get the rest of that beautiful blue metal and hide all of these ugly weeds and level out a little bit more. So I can't wait to do that. It's bit by bit. You just pick a project for the month and you stick to that, and the rest of it just comes in time. But I do love our garden. And then I can't wait for this lawnmower and whippersnipper to go in my little area beside my greenhouse as well, so they won't be there. So this month coming, I've actually got plans for some landscaping wood mulch to arrive to do some garden beds around the tiny homes and other areas on the garden. But in this garden itself, I'm hoping to receive some more of this beautiful blue metal, which I absolutely love. It's fantastic at keeping the weeds down and stopping the grass from coming through. So I'd like to get some more of that delivered, and also I really want to get a hold of some nice mulch for the garden beds. I really don't like garden beds that don't have mulch. Coming into spring and summer, assuming that we will have a normal spring and summer, I would think that we will lose a lot of evaporation, basically a lot of moisture from our garden beds, and that mulch is obviously going to be critical. So I want to get them organised now so that then it's not so much of an issue. So I will organise for some mulch to be delivered as well, and I hope to obviously finish off that greenhouse and maybe get some extra wood to get those other 3 remaining garden beds that I told you about sort of at least set down so that I can put the blue metal around them and basically have it just formed up, even if they're not ready to be planted in, or they're not the 3 levels high, which I think I'm going to need, even if they're just the one level high, and then we can get to the rest of it. But at least if I can get the blue metal down, and I don't have to worry about the weeds coming up then. So that's my plans for the next coming month. Apart from that, obviously, I have a lot of bulbs that are about to start sprouting up soon. I have a lot of seeds that I'm ready to get going. I have so many plants up at our house. Our homes are tiny and I have a lot of seed trays. So I'm really hoping that I can get those into the greenhouse. The greenhouse itself probably won't be completely... It'll be completed, but it won't be completely designed the way that I want it to be. I just want to see how it goes and see how I want to use the space. So obviously I know that I will have that large utility area to the side of it, which is absolutely going to be fantastic, but I just want to see exactly how I want to use the space as a greenhouse. Obviously it's going to have plants in there. I won't be able to use that during spring, like the late spring and summer here, because our weather will just be a little bit too crazy for it. It's a little bit too hot, so anything that goes in there will die straight away. I won't be able to keep seeds in there because seeds need to be kept at a certain temperature, so I'll keep those at the house. But I just want to see exactly how I can use that space, not just for storage. I want it to be nice and to be usable, so I just have to work that out. I'm still working out my plans, so it'll come together, but it'll come together a little bit slowly, I think. So that's my plans going forward for the next month. I am looking forward to it. It's always nice to have plans to look forward to. Sometimes you don't always get them done, but I think that it's nice to always have a goal and then try and chip away, because otherwise nothing ever happens. So I like to have a list and keep things organised. So I can't wait to see how the garden grows over the next month or so. Thank you so much for watching. If you have liked this video, please consider subscribing, and hopefully I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.